What is up guys, my name is Pocketcraft and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to ride on any Pokemon in Cobblemon. And I mean any Pokemon. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to share some important tips to make it so that when you do ride a Pokemon like Magikarp, it doesn't look as derpy as it did there. And if you find this video helpful, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We're really pushing to 20k subscribers and we'd love to have you as part of the team. So before you do anything else, you need to have the Cobblemon Rider mod enabled. I'll have the link to that in the description. This is the base mod that lets you ride on Pokemon, and it works really well. And you can ride on a Pokemon by shift and right clicking them and then clicking on mount. And this works super great. The only problem with this mod is that it only has a limited number of Pokemon that you can ride on. So you can do Charizard, Arcanine, Luxray, Nidoking, Gyarados. There are quite a few that you can use, but unfortunately it doesn't include every Pokemon. So I'm going to show you how you can edit the config file to ride on any Pokemon you want. One of my channel members recently asked how to ride Rayquaze in Cobblemon, so I'll do this from the perspective of how to ride Rayquaze, but this will work for any other Pokemon. Speaking of channel memberships, if you'd like to have a Pokemon named after you in one of my Let's Play series, or all sorts of other awesome perks, consider hitting the join button below. First, you need to make sure you have the Cobblemon Rider mod enabled, and you obviously need a Rayquaze. Then you need to open up your Minecraft folder, click on the saves file, click on whatever world you're playing, so for me that's tutorials, then click on Pokemon Rider config.json. Now this is going to look pretty intimidating, but it's actually fairly simple. I would recommend scrolling down to Dragonite or any other flying Pokemon. Then what you want to do is just copy everything for Dragonite, so that's going to be from the quotation mark here to the comma here, and then paste it right below. Then you just need to change Dragonite to Rayquaze. Now this will allow us to fly on Rayquaze, but the offset here is going to be related to Dragonite. So you'll want to fiddle around with this until it looks natural. So just changing the name to Rayquaze will enable us to ride Rayquaze. You just need to shift and right click on Rayquaze and then click on mount. This allows you to ride Rayquaze, but it'll look really derpy until you correctly change the offset. And you can just play around with numbers until it looks right. You can use the same strategy to ride on any Pokemon in Cobblemon. An important tip I would share is to try and copy the information from a Pokemon that moves in the same way as the one you're hoping to create. So for example, Rayquaze is a Pokemon we want to fly on, so we copied a different flying Pokemon that already existed, which was Dragonite. But say I want to ride on a Pokemon like Bidoof, then I would recommend copying information from a Pokemon like Luxray where you run on its back. Unless, of course, you want a flying Bidoof, which is totally okay. And this gives me an opportunity to share one of the coolest tips about this mod. Let's say you want to make a God Bidoof. So as you can see, I've already created a Bidoof here to ride on. But let's say we also want to fly on him. We could just hit enter, type in fly in all caps in quotation marks. And then let's say we want to go even crazier and we want this Bidoof to be as fast as possible because it is God Bidoof. Then you can change the speed modifier to whatever you want. So right now it's 1. You could just change it to 2 to go twice as fast, or we could change this to 25 and we'll see what that does to our Bidoof. Speaking of the speed modifier, this is a really important one because honestly, sometimes these flying Pokemon move pretty slow. So if you want to move more quickly around your world, you can just increase all of these to 5 or something like that, and you'll be able to travel much more quickly in Cobblemon. Also, something important I almost forgot, you'll see there's these red lines here. You need to make sure after walk you put a comma, and that should fix it. Otherwise, this won't work. But that's only necessary if you're having more than one ability. If you're just walking or flying or swimming, it doesn't matter. So now that we're back, let's see what happens with our God Bidoof with a 25 speed boost and the ability to fly. So again, we ride it by right-clicking and then clicking on mount. And here, holy cow, we just went 200 blocks in about 5 seconds, and I think we glitched out a little bit. So 25 and the speed multiplier might be a little bit too fast for the game to load, but doing something like 5 would honestly be perfect. You'd move around much more quickly, but you won't break the game. But this is pretty awesome. Let's see if we can get back to home within seconds. And we bounced off that wall so hard. Just so you guys can see what this looks like. Flying looks a little weird, obviously. You just raise up and down in the air, but you move crazy fast. Unfortunately, they haven't designed a God Bidoof model for Cobblemon, but until then, this is the closest we're gonna get. Now, one other tip I think I should explain just to make things easier for you guys, want to make sure you leave this video without having any unanswered questions, is how to make certain Pokemon do more. One of the frustrating things about this mod is you can get awesome Pokemon like Gyarados that work great for riding on underwater, but then you can't take them anywhere on land. So then you get to the coast and you're stuck and it can be a little bit frustrating. So I'm going to show you how to change that right now. So if you want to make a Pokemon like Gyarados to be able to do more, you do the same thing like earlier, and we can put fly here, and you want it in all caps, and make sure you have the comm after swim. And if we want to go crazy, we can just make it so that Gyarados can do everything. We'll put walk here as well. We might as well make him fast, so let's go 8 here just for crazy. And then while we're at it, I was working on Rayquaze. It looks like if you put a 9 up on riding offset, it gets you on about the right spot height-wise. You can maybe go 10 if you want to be a little higher. Passenger offset, I did 6 here, and it looks pretty good. But you're still a little bit farther back from him, so you could edit this a little bit more if you want. But again, with each Pokemon, this is something you're just going to want to play around with. For example, for Bidoof, I completely removed it and put it all at 0, so I sat right on top of his back. But I could probably edit one of these to be right behind him, because you're a little bit ahead of him. Now, there are a couple of big advantages to doing this. One being previously, if you tried to get on a Gyarados on land, you wouldn't be able to move around and get to the water. And Gyarados is one where their natural offset isn't very good, so you might want to edit this. But now we can move around on land perfectly. We can actually fly too, which doesn't make sense. That one's probably unnecessary for Gyarados, but pretty fun. But then once you get to water, you can also just go down, get into the water, and then you can swim like normal. Another one of the huge benefits of swimming in this mod, you can't tell here because I'm in creative, but it allows you to breathe underwater. So Pokemon like Gyarados are the perfect way to explore underwater ruins or ocean monuments because you'll never drown. And I guess since you can fly, you can just straighten back up and fly back home. Now, there is one exception that I found to Pokemon that you can do this for, and that's Pokemon that can go on your shoulder. So for example, I put in the config for you to be able to ride on Tepig, but since there's already this shoulder thing here, I can't figure out any way for you to actually ride on him. Now, I'm sure it's still probably possible, but I'm not smart enough to figure that one out. So if anyone in the comment section knows, feel free to put it down there for everybody else. Now, hopefully this should answer all of your questions about how to ride on Pokemon in Cobblemon, and I hope you have a ton of fun experimenting with this mod, and that you show your friends that nowadays pigs really can fly. If you enjoyed this video, please check out this video right here where I share the top 25 best Cobblemon side mods and add-ons.